Hi everyone, it's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, and I'm here with our second episode of Zillow New Construction Builder Innovator Trendlines. I'm joined by my co-stars, co-hosts, Kadra Evans with Zillow New Construction, Director of Industry Relations and Sales, and Scott Rorick, Director of Industry Relations. So they're both local here in Denver, and our guest star is Kelly Cox, the great Kelly Cox, the legendary Kelly Cox, who is National Strategic Partnership Manager with ADT. And we're actually here in ADT's Aurora, Colorado facility, okay? And we're here in Colorado because these folks live here and we'll be attending an event for the smart home industry, CEDIA Expo, in just a day or two. So what we wanted to do with this session was we're going to dive back into that Zillow New Construction annual survey of consumer trends. And we're going to focus on the home feature trends. And we're going to narrow in because the headlines and the highlights from 2024's report is the growth of smart home features, the growth of energy efficiency, the growth of what I've dubbed rental tech, which I think is part of the equation. We're going to dive a little deeper on that, and so we're in a great place for that. So this is a pretty broad and long list of feature sets that are important to new construction buyers.
New construction buyers are very picky, we've learned from this survey.
Tell me more about that.
And look, all of these things on this list, this laundry list of items, everybody thinks everything is important.
They want it all.
I'm not prioritizing anything, it's all a high priority.
Yeah.
They want to be on their budget and they want to be cool. They want air conditioning and to be on budget. Those are the two biggest things that they told us.
I guess global warming is figuring in.
It's in there.
Everyone wants air conditioning.
Yep.
But, and to go with that is the energy efficiency piece, right? Because we're going to have to do a lot to cool the home or heat it. In New England, we have to heat homes occasionally.
We do here in Denver too.
Yep.
And energy costs are going up. So energy efficiency really is ranking high here. I think that was the point that's tech-centric that we wanted to focus in on this slide.
I think we're also talking about some climate awareness too. And so as we've got younger and younger buyers moving into the marketplace, they care about the climate. They want energy efficiency. They want to leave less of a carbon footprint. And they've lived most of their lives with technology. So it's only natural that they would expect a home or a rental home or a for sale home with that technology. Right.
This slide is really about the growth in demand and popularity of certain feature sets. And I think this is the one that when I looked at this a couple months ago and saw the growth on the smart home feature side of things over the last 3-4 years, it really struck me. But it's also this idea of rental technology, right? Doesn't say rental tech, but they want the ability to either rent a portion of their home while they're living in it, or maybe go away for a long period of time or somewhere else and be able to rent that home as well. That one caught you by surprise, or at least the growth of it?
I think so, and that definitely is a generation by generation trend because you've got boomers who don't really care about rent, or I think the thought of renting out a part of their home might make them a little nervous. But younger generations are really looking to do that to offset costs. We've got this affordability crisis. Yeah, so the ability to rent out or create extra income by renting out part of their home is really appealing.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these features end up being dollars and cents features, right? The energy efficiency, the rental.
Well, it goes back to that slide that we had up there a couple of times, prior to this, was talking about staying on budget. And it's really important to them. And you mentioned the A word, affordability. Affordability is big to them. And so they're coming up with ways, how can we make this more affordable, either now or in the future?
And maybe they're thinking about budget not only at the transaction level for the home, but the overall budget in a longer view on that.
I think you're looking at long-term. If you're buying a house, we've always been told that it's an investment in your future. It's how you create wealth. And so if you're thinking long-term, maybe this house is going to be temporary and I want the ability to rent it out right now, or maybe once I move out onto my next place, then it becomes income.
Very cool. This looks at some of those same factors generationally, and there is a generation gap
Just a
that's
little one, just a
enormous, right? So what do we got? 55% versus single-digit percentage on the rental tech side of things and the smart home, even though that's been around as an idea for a good 35, 40 years, we see a big difference between the boomers and the Gen Y, Gen Z, 55% versus 12% here. So,
It's kind of,
commentary, thoughts.
kind of just what I was saying. I think boomers aren't in a place where they're needing to rent out part of their home. They're sitting on trillions of dollars of wealth.
Yeah.
Where your millennials are really starting to think about the future. Maybe this is their first home.
Yeah.
And so they're thinking about how they can offset those costs.
Well, and you mentioned that too. They're used to this technology just generationally. This is what they've grown up with. They're part of it. You know, they've experienced this and they want it in their house too.
Yeah.
Well, these generations are using technology the way that they've always used it. When they were younger, they were using it to connect to the world and connect to their friends, to their society, and at work. They were using it in their workplace all the time. So it's only a natural transition that they would use that in their homes and use that same technology that they use themselves in their homes for if they're going to rent out a part of their home or the entire home.
Yep.
Same technology that they already have in their hand.
What do you all see with the builders out there in terms of generationally? What are the generations that are actually designing and determining the feature sets? I mean,
That's hard.
Is Gen Y and our Gen Z really well represented in that? Because we can only we can look at market research, but we're always going to have a bias towards who we are. So I just wonder if the boomers and Gen Xers who aren't as tuned into these trends might not be meeting the moment.
I think there's somewhat of a changing of the guard in the industry right now, and we're getting slowly away from that kind of old school mentality into a more progressive, forward thinking mentality. And that just simply because we've got millennials that are coming into the decision making roles that are home builders.
And they're both very large home buying sets of
Right.
individuals as well. So you need to pay attention to what they want. It's very hard though, I would say, for a builder if you're doing a 55 plus community versus, a first time home, how do you accommodate for both those different demands as we're seeing here on this,
Right.
on the screen?
So we're going to dive into some of your deep experience, your company's deep experience, Kelly, on many of these feature sets. And I thought, let's talk a little bit about ADT because it's a household name for me. I've been aware of ADT since I got involved in this industry in the mid to late 80s. When some of you were toddlers or born or whatever, I don't know.
Thank you.
Not quite
Thank
sure.
you.
It was sixth grade. Yeah.
But ADT is celebrating a big birthday this year, right?
150 years, just last month we celebrated. The technology as we've grown over those last 150 years, and especially the technology in the last generation, has been leaps and bounds of where not only where we've come from, but where the industry has come from and where the industry is heading. So ADT being not only 96% brand recognition in the space for both residential and small business, but where ADT is heading with this technology. Technology isn't only about the way that we've used it in the past, the smart locks, the smart lights, traditional security. Security is not necessarily the leader anymore. It is a part of a holistic solution in these homes now. And what the market is looking for. So looking more for indoor air quality, water mitigation, especially with the cost of water and the rules and regulations around how water is used now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of runway for ADT.
Well, I want people to understand your breadth and depth of experience as a company too. 150 years, nobody has more smart home customers that you're dealing with. There may be manufacturers that have put more devices in, but nobody's dealing with the customer at the level that you are. And you're also broadly deployed with builders and multifamily companies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And rental technology, right? Like you're on that.
Yeah.
And like you're on that in terms of the institutional property development and management companies. But now we're seeing that the individuals are interested in that rental piece too. And there's probably expertise to be gained or to be borrowed from the property management side of things for even that individual investor, right?
Absolutely. And there's the rental side and the for sale side isn't that different what residents are looking for. And ADT working with both the builders, the owners, and the operators to be the subject experts to guide them through these, through their journey of how to implement technology is really key for success.
Let's keep going.
Can I ask a quick question about ADT?
Sure.
We come from Zillow, which is, we are kind of constantly in a change of evolution and trying to meet the next need that consumers are going to have. And so the fact that ADT has been around for 150 years and still is relevant, how do you
And
do it?
innovating.
Yeah, and still innovating. How do you do it? I think that it really goes to our company culture of having empowering ideas and a culture of innovation and teamwork, that anyone at any level in our organization can come forward with an idea, or this is a need in the marketplace, or especially these niche markets like builder and multifamily, that we see these needs usually before anyone else does. And you, I'm sure, have experienced that with new construction. What we see the need in new construction is usually 5 years before the resale, right, used homes, the resale market is seeing it. So we have an advantage that we see what that need is coming down the pike and the ability to adapt and innovate for it. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Well, I think the business has always been superbly run, right? You don't last 150 years if you don't tend to financially having a successful business, right? And recurring revenue has been one of the keys on that front for ADT. And I would say the gear shift in terms of the innovation, started in 2010.
Absolutely.
With the ADT Pulse, where figured out how to have some more recurring revenue associated with the automation features alongside the security side of things. And I think it's been going faster in terms of rate of innovation since then. You've been around since that with it.
I have been around nearly 20 years in this role. So yes, it's the speed in which technology has grown in just my 20 years here has been pretty incredible, and really excited to at what's coming next from ADT.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's exciting.
you can't share any secrets right now? Unfortunately not, but as soon as I can, I promise I will. Okay.
So let's address that energy efficiency demand that we saw out there. And I just pulled out some of the key technologies from my perspective on energy efficiency tech. I mean, build, tighten, ventilate, some of those products we're talking about building envelope wraps and sheathing and such to keep the home tight. Now there's a piece of technology that goes with that in terms of the ventilation. The rest of this stuff, the top three slots here, thermostats, the water heating, and the lighting are in the smart home technology realm, so to speak. And then smart power, really, we're still in the wild, wild west of that because of all the disparate tax incentives and codes. But we know that generating technology for yourself and storing it and sending it up the grid or sending it downstream to your house at the right time can be a huge contributor to energy efficiency. I'm going to just make it a jump ball and throw it up there for anyone to comment on one of these things that they think is more important or more entrenched.
We've seen this grow, and when we've done this survey year after year after year, we ask the same questions, and we've been doing it since 2019, 2020. And we've seen when it comes to smart home tech, just the demand has just increased, especially since 2019. When is it like 63% now are saying,
63%.
just specific to new construction buyers, that this is really important to them, that they agreed to that statement that smart home technology is very important to them. And I think that was maybe 30% 4 years ago. So there's definitely a demand, and that's what really stuck out at me as I read that report for the first time. It would be nice to move into a brand new house to have all this already in there. I say that as I live in this house, this used house that we've had since 2002, and retrofitting it all with all that tech, it's a hassle.
Just another advantage of new construction.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't necessarily think one of those are more important than the other. I think it's creating a holistic environment that it works for the homeowner, and having the customability or being able to customize
what that homeowner is looking for and how they're going to use the technology. And using that technology, not only how they're using it now, but how they're going to use it long term. You move into a house, think about how much your life has changed since 2002, since you purchased your house, and your lifestyle and everything else. So being able to have that core system of that technology and have it adapt to how your life is adapting over the time that you're spending in that mode.
Yeah. Smart thermostats are a pretty standard feature
Very standard.
for you guys. Smart water heating, right? Now we had tankless water heaters, now we got heat pump driven water heaters that are economical, but Wi-Fi connectivity to that water heater to control when it is firing and when it's not, especially with people having second houses or being on the road and traveling. That's another big energy saving capability out there. The lighting piece, we know lighting consumes a lot of energy and LED lighting consumes less, but controlling it better also conserves for us. So there's a lot to be done here, and I think we were kicking around before we started rolling the camera the idea of total cost of ownership, right? And the energy efficiency piece is a huge one. These utility bills that come from New England, from Boston, to heat 2,500 square foot Victorian home in Newton, Massachusetts, is a couple grand a month, you know? And you could be, you could be spending a fraction of that in a new structure of the same size because these sorts of technologies and design features are implemented. So gets to that affordability piece.
Yeah, I think it's so important. This just goes along with showing buyers what price means to their bottom line, showing buyers what energy efficient features in their home are going to do for their monthly payments, because what isn't happening right now is a great explanation that really gets buyers to understand what all of this means. It's not necessarily the purchase price and the interest rate. There's also monthly costs that go into it.
Yeah. We were saying total cost of ownership, which is more of a commercial building sort of concept, but it's probably time that it comes home and that we start to build some understanding for that among the consumers. Rental tech. New name, new category is rental tech.
Yeah.
First time, just heard it here for the first time ever.
Did you make that up?
I did. I like it.
Trademark.
It's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of-
We need a trademark for that. Hurry.
So, access control, basically keyless entry and remote controllable keyless entry is obviously one of the keys here. You basically want to watch what's going on in that property in some shape or form without invading people's privacy. So, I think surveillance certainly figures in. Burglar and fire alarms can be part of the equation, again, on the security side of things. I've got remote monitoring and management. So remote monitoring of all of that surveillance stuff, but there is also an ability to manage some of these, take some of that multifamily property management and deploy it even in single family from a remote management. And I want you to speak to these, with detail instead of just the buzzword level. I put bulk Wi-Fi in here because I think it's obviously in the multifamily world that's become a big ancillary revenue source, but it's an opportunity in the single family rental side of things, especially if you're building entire communities, for you to be reselling Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi could go with the technology stack for the houses, because you're going to need network connectivity to get all these other pieces and parts rolling. So maybe you can speak to, go ahead.
Yeah, can somebody please explain to me what bulk Wi-Fi is?
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. I'm so glad. I'm your girl. I'm going to...
Yes!
Learning so much.
So glad you asked.
Yeah. Rental tech, really, this is a great term for this space, for the rental side, because again, we talked about a lot of the asks and requirements on the for sale side, we're seeing on that rental side as well. Bulk Wi-Fi is when there's a community, either traditional multifamily high-rise apartments or a community of homes, that bulk Wi-Fi is an active Wi supply for an entire community.
Okay.
We're seeing builders attempting to do this as well. There are some struggles on the new construction side because sometimes there's delays in getting Wi-Fi ran and getting it, especially when communities are built in sections and phases. But bulk Wi-Fi is having active Wi-Fi throughout a community or an area.
And then you said something about they resell it to the homeowner?
Well, in multifamily world, you got two models. You include it in the rent, and you're basically marking up the rent, or you can resell it at a fee. Instead of the service provider commissioning you, you're buying it wholesale from the service provider and reselling it at a margin to the residents.
Okay.
And what we see on the rental tech side is a lot of that, a lot of revenue driving decisions on the property manager, owner, operator side. So bulk Wi-Fi, smart home technology, access control, safety and security, but using that as an amenity fee for the renters, that they're getting everything that they want. They just move in, everything's active, ready to move in, and the owner operator is driving additional revenue by charging for that.
Can you speak to renting a section of the home versus the entire home? I mean, are you guys addressing that with specific packages where some of it's about the home design, right? In terms of there being a discernible or demarcation point, a suite of some sort, but is there technology that goes to that piece that's different?
The same technology that we would utilize, it would be designed different, but the same technology that we're using in traditional multifamily is the same as single family for sale or single family for rent, or in those homes where maybe they're selling or they're renting a portion of the home, it's the same technology.
Yeah.
The great thing that ADT offers is the same technology that your residents or your owners are using at the palm of their hand on their phone is the same technology that the property managers are using. So it's integrating to property management software. It takes all the heavy lifting out of it. It's just automated. And so the same technology that they're using to access their home or their unit, that's the same technology they're going to use for access control to get into their community center, their pool, their gym, other facilities on site to access it. So that one app solution is not only what new homeowners are looking for, but what renters are looking for.
You're totally speaking my language.
Yeah.
So have you heard of this super app concept that we have at Zillow that we're building?
No.
It is a fully integrated system where you've got your agent and your buyer and your lender and whoever else might be part of the transaction. They're all using the same system so they can talk to one another in a seamless way. Yeah.
And
so
a
it's
record of all of it.
And a record of all of it, and it's just one login for everybody to be able to speak the same language and be on the same page. So
And so for the homeowner that's renting part of their house, they've got the same app, but part of the UI is sectored for them and their experience living in their section of the house, but they can also look at the other side of things from the property management perspective.
Yes, and what we see is, like if we take energy efficiency as an example, a lot of these homes that have rental suites in it, there's usually 2 furnaces, so that means 2 thermostats, 2 smart thermostats that are controllable. So in a rental space, there can be scenes or rules built around it where the tenant, the renter, has ability to adjust the thermostat within a certain degrees, and they can't go above that, they can't go below that. And there's also technology built into it that if, like HVAC systems are one of the most expensive things that we replace in our homes. So if the furnace is short cycling, if something's going on, it's an early indicator that there's a problem. And it's a lot more cost effective to get someone out and inspect that and fix that before you have to replace a whole furnace.
Yeah.
Or an AC.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of a whole brave new world of stuff
Yeah.
to manage and operate there. I feel a Summit General session coming on.
Oh, John, there's
I feel like I'm reminiscing about my 65-degree hotel rooms, and I would die if they, and you know those
I wanna go lower sometimes, but I can't.
You know those hotels that you go to and they have a governor on it?
Oh, yeah.
Dang it.
All of them do, I think.
Now ADT has figured it out.
Yep.
But as an owner operator, when you love the ability
Yes.
to control
Yes.
the cost, especially in a
Yes.
vacant home,
That's right.
the energy cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So the smart home features, sometimes it's called smart home security. I mean, I think this is the basic feature set, and we can add way beyond this as well. But the most common are, correct me if I'm wrong, these 4 elements in a basic package: the video doorbell, the keyless lock, the smart thermostat, which gets us the energy efficiency piece, and alarm system, right? That's monitored.
Absolutely. And alarm isn't necessarily a requirement anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, some owner operators just want to install the technology side, the home automation side, to be able to control the home. And leave the security option up to the renter or the owner.
Yeah, yeah. And then I threw some typical add-ons. I think we all know leak detection has become more and more popular over the last 10 years. There's a lot of property loss associated with water leaks, and why not detect that, and in some cases have automatic shut-off valves too if you're away from home, so that you can mitigate any damage. Cameras are, our sense of sight is our most important sight to us, and especially on security, and cameras are a fraction of the price that they were 20 years ago, and so we want them lots of different places, right? And we don't just want them for security, we want them just for situational awareness, or to see what the pet's doing, or see if the swans
Peace of mind
are
when you're
okay out on the pond, or whatever it is.
My husband thinks I'm a lunatic because I keep ordering more cameras.
But to John's
what
point,
do we
they are-
possibly need to see?
But to John's point, they are becoming so affordable, and
They
they're
are.
so small, and you can just put them anywhere and everywhere for a fraction of the cost.
Well,
where
if
they
you're
were years
and
ago.
if you're traveling and from the airport to be able to log into your cameras and see what the weather is, or a second home of what am I in for? What's the weather up in the mountains right now?
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of different uses for camera, and
Definitely.
for the cost of the minimal cost compared to what cameras were a year ago or years ago, it's definitely worth
And
it.
the psychological gain of knowing that you could just check on things
peace of
just
mind.
with a quick click of a button.
The garage door is closed. I can't go to
yes,
bed.
so many times.
The great thing is, will automatically close when your phone gets a certain distance from
It's
your
true.
home.
It's true.
So smart now.
It is.
So lighting control might have made it into the basic side of things. I think, or it should be, I think, at least as I've described it here in terms of path of access, path of egress. I don't know why we wouldn't have that as a standard at the doors where you're coming in, the exterior of the home. Nobody wants to drive up to their house in the dark or walk into a dark door.
So that's just your fancy way of saying motion detected lights?
No, not motion detector.
Or on
No,
a
just
scene
I think
that's
I think
created.
remote
Okay, a
control,
scene. I
or
like
it could
the
be
scene
it could be
idea.
macro triggered. What's a macro, Kelly?
Or it can be geo-fenced. So once you get within a certain distance of your home, the lights turn on, the thermostat starts adjusting to your preferred temperature, the lock might disengage, the garage door might open, and your problem of having to keep turning around because you can't remember you closed the garage
the door
door,
down.
the same thing in the reverse.
Yeah, and I think D.R. Horton has in their standard package one switch, right? But there's an opportunity to sell a whole bunch more.
Sure.
Right, and that's why I think it should be a standard at the door and at the exterior, because it would also extend to more lighting control being installed throughout the house.
The
right?
great thing about lighting control, especially for builders and developers, owner-operator on the multifamily side, is you get so much bang for your buck. Lighting control is very cost-effective, and for the experience that you're creating for your owners or your renters is very impactful. And the safety aspect, like you said, no one wants to walk into a dark home.
Right.
So shades could be security too, right? We don't want people looking in our house. I mean, as part of the security function, it also gets us to the energy efficiency
Absolutely.
piece, right? So it's more of an optional piece right now, but it really could become more standard. When I say shade control, it's motorization, and like this was really expensive 15 years ago. It had to be hardwired. The interfaces to the control systems were tricky. Now we have all sorts of wireless. You can either charge them or they could be battery powered with long live batteries. So I think shades are on the upswing. I know someone like Hunter Douglas, they're like 40% of all the shades they install across all their brands being motorized at this point. So once you get that feature, you don't want to go back.
Right.
But it's got the practical security piece, and it's got the energy efficiency piece.
John, do you feel like shade control's kind of on the same path as AV? That it used to be so expensive, it used to be such an incredible upgrade, that now AV shades control is really that's the next phase, and that is what people are starting to expect, and it is so attainable.
Well, and I think about this too. You talk about climate control or climate, change and all that, energy efficiency. I think about consumers and people, how they're embracing sleep, this idea of sleep and wellness and health and wellness and all this. So when I think of lighting control and shades, I think, people are putting an emphasis on that to help them get better sleep at night and be more, rested in the morning with their circadian rhythms and all that stuff too.
And yeah, the smart thermostat ties into that as well.
There you go.
One of these days, we're going to get a smart bed, a sleep number
Please.
bed, or a smart Tempur-Pedic bed at our event, because those beds are going to be sold into new homes,
Yep.
and the builders could cash in on that. Sleep is the number one thing people
huge.
spend time on at home.
Yep.
Now you're not awake, you're not conscious of it, but you're spending more time.
But you
on
know
sleep
when you
than
don't get your
Exactly.
right. Yeah.
So it really is an
ties in there.
unintended need. It's a great opportunity. What else we got? This is ADT's standard and upgrades. Talk to me about that.
Well, as we know, ADT doesn't have cookie cutter systems. We're really customized based on what the builders, the developers, what they're looking for. But this is our most common. It's usually a hub that is really the brains of the system. Locks, thermostats. Those are key, especially if you're a builder or an owner operator that is offering self-guided tours, which is becoming more and more common, especially since COVID. And a lot of renters and buyers want to be able to tour a home by themselves without the pressure of a realtor, without pressure of somebody behind them. And then, of course, our upgrades. Video doorbell is key. It's pretty surprising when someone doesn't have a video doorbell these days. Cameras, water leak detection, security, smart garage doors. Smart leak detection, not only water control at the main, but individual leak detectors that are going to be able to detect water leak.
Video doorbell, smart garage doors, Amazon deliveries. Why are we surprised that video doorbells are as popular as they are? I mean, there is the element of, we know the old research used to say the first thing a burglar does is ring the doorbell. And that was the original idea for that video doorbell, was to tamp down that first point of attack for a lot of burglars. But what has happened since is our e-commerce, package delivering, shopping habits, all that stuff arriving, and situational awareness and security around all that stuff that's arriving at our door, or should go into the garage because we've integrated that way.
Well, it's beyond that. AI has just changed this space incredibly. There's video doorbells. The Nest doorbell detects when a package has been dropped at your door. They don't even have to ring your doorbell. It detects if a package has been dropped. It alerts you that there's a package there. If the package has been moved, it alerts you that a package is there. Not everybody wants Amazon in their garage. Not everyone trusts that, that they're going to do what they need to do in there. But packages being dropped off, and how many times have you had packages dropped on your door that they never ring the doorbell? Right. So the AI is really developed to alert us to those things without relying on the human error to hit that doorbell.
I also think there's a safety side. As a woman, if I'm home by myself, I will not answer the door. And so you can check to see who's at your door through the doorbell on your app, and you don't have to get up, and there's just an extra security in having that.
Yeah, the command and control element on the work from home side of things for sure.
Yep.
What else we got? So I want to talk about self-guided tours and smart home, because it's another area for opportunity, or where if you scratch your head for a second and say, why don't we do that? So there's self-guided tour, which is, I've checked in with the home builder, provided enough credentials to be allowed a key code to get into the house. But there's coming into a house and self-guiding your way through it, and then there's a house that's ready to be toured, right? Which could have its HVAC running, which could be lit, which could be playing music that you like, which could have televisions going with interesting content about the homes. The reality is, we can use technology features and integrate them with self-guided tours to sell more homes, period. Put the selling the technology features to the side. It's that better experience. It's like going to a luxury hotel room, checking in, and when you check in, they've got messages for you.
Yep.
The lights are on, the AC is running, it's not a stuffy, dark room. This has got to become something that's more done on a standard basis when a self-guided tour is part of the builder's go-to-market. That's my view. So I just wanted to opine, and then let's hear from the crowd here from the panel.
Yeah, I mean, Zillow recognized that this was a thing, and we've started working with builders to pilot this feature on Zillow. So I want to schedule a tour, I can go do that, just provide a few credentials, get the code to the house, and away you go. But what's coming down the pike, I think, is what's so interesting, because you're going to be able to see where potential buyers are dwelling.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, that basement seemed like something you were really interested in. You'll be able to have just that much
where
more
they're
of a
spending
robust
time.
conversation once that buyer has toured themselves through a home.
Yeah.
And they've told us too, they prefer actually viewing it on their own time, relaxed with their family, maybe after soccer practice, instead of having a salesperson right then and there hanging out with them the entire time. They want to do it on their time when they can.
And utilizing that technology not only for that positive experience, like you said, lights on,
mood.
the thermostat, the right temperature, and that person touring, imagining themselves and their families purchasing that home or renting that home. It's utilizing that technology when the home is vacant, after hours, security measures to eliminate squatters or rental fraud. It goes into so much more than just touring a home.
Yeah.
And the energy efficiency piece of it, right? Like being able to control so somebody can't go in and crank up the AC and leave doors open.
There's OpEx savings as well.
It's fascinating when this technology kind of really hit the market when COVID happened, because we couldn't go into homes. But I was like, there's no way. Think of the security risks of letting people in and out of a home. Squatters are always a concern. And I have heard little to no issues with that, because the technology has
The technology
to make it
exists.
that secure.
And what we see with builders, with owners, operators that are implementing this technology, we have real world examples where as soon as they install that technology, they stopped 3 or 4 squatters the first weekend, and they were able to save appliances being stolen, and so many examples of how it's saving the user, the builder, money, and helping them sell a home as well.
And giving the buyer what they want too.
Kedra, I really liked what you touched on there in terms of the future, using sensing technology to understand where people are spending their time, and then arming salespeople with that business intelligence. It sounds a little creepy.
Yeah,
but
not if you do it the right way.
If they do it in stores all the time. And I'm such an advocate for builders thinking of their model homes in particular as stores. So let's take some of that retail technology, measuring time spent, in a store. It would be, what dresses were they looking at or what have you. This is a home features focused thing. We can even have beacons integrated with AV kiosks or the existing TV and sound system that might be in there to present information on the communities and homes. So there's definitely opportunity and work to be done in that area as well.
Yeah, it's really about listening to the consumer, and this is maybe a creepy way of listening to the consumer, but it's a way that you're going to be able to find out what makes them tick, meet them where they are, and sell your feature that meets that need that they want.
I'm a cookies allowed guy. I like the sales to follow me where I go. Not everybody's like that, but I'm good with getting the sale price on the shoes that I looked at. I'm okay with that. So I think that's it. Unless anybody has any end comments that they want to throw out there, I thought we covered the ground pretty thoroughly. Kelly, thank you so much for hosting us here.
Absolutely.
We've got the timeline for ADT behind us and a bunch of equipment on the wall, but really appreciate you hosting us here at the training room in Aurora. Thanks for driving in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And we'll see you next time on Trendlines.